move on to Star Trek Discovery. Got Star Trek Discovery. It's a new Star Trek show that just aired. It's on CBS Network. Now, this actually take place 10 years before the original Star Trek.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Yeah.
So I was watching it, and I'm like, okay, I don't think they the continuity is right though, as far as the But I guess you can say, okay, this is their ship. The Enterprise got different uniforms. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think they're just like aggressively retconning it. Like, don't worry about it. It fits.
You know, if they do that, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But just kind of say that.
Yeah. Like, because it clearly doesn't look like the original series.
No, it looks too clean, too new.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can't be a slave to the original.
Yeah.
That's what I think that's what sometimes Star Wars got a problem with, where they keep trying to stay to that original. Like, oh, Darth Vader can't move like this. Just retcon it and say he can move now. You know what I'm saying? That way you can do more with him. But anyway, we on Star Trek. So in this Star Trek is 10 years before the original Enterprise.
Right.
The main characters is got a captain, Michelle Yeoh. I can't remember her name in the. She's the captain. A lot of people know her from a lot of Jet Li movies. She was a Bond girl at one point. She's a great martial artist, and she done a lot of. She was in Super Cop.
Yeah.
As his sister in there. So she done a lot of movies with Jackie Chan, Jet Li. She's a Asian female actress, and she did pretty good in this movie, in this show too.
Yeah.
She got a thick accent, but it was kind of cute though.
Yeah. Her character is super likable.
Right. So that brings the next character that's not super likable.
Not even.
And what's her name?
Michael Burnham.
What's her real name?
Sonequa Martin Green.
Okay. Which a lot of people know her from Walking Dead as Sasha. She's the first mate in her. And I thought she was Vulcan, but I found out she's human. She just raised by Vulcans, right? So that's the thing, man. Like we said, the captain, Michelle Yeoh character, very likable, cool. And you got the first mate, Michael Burnham, and she's kind of a bitch.
Yeah. You know what? And this is the thing, and I get what and this is what I think they were going for, was they wanted to build a character who had that kind of like logic-driven mentality, but still had human compassion.
I was gonna say that because when they introduced her character, I thought she was Vulcan, and I was like, she don't really acting like a Vulcan.
No.
But she seemed like she kind of got the Vulcan. She actually did a good job.
Yeah.
Because the way I was feeling, I felt like she was trying to imitate Vulcans.
Yeah.
But she wasn't. So I thought, oh, that's some bad acting there. Well, then I realized her character, she a human that want to be a Vulcan, and you can tell.
And the thing is, she did a great job playing that character, but that character isn't well received. Because she's like that one know-it-all that everyone knew.
Right.
That refused to get down with everybody else because she knew better. Because, it's like anyone that's ever... If you ever known anyone who's super into ancient Japanese culture and has to point out why it's better than everything else all the damn time.
I don't know nobody like that, but I'm sure that's how it is.
Like, I know a lot of otaku.
I don't know I don't know those summarizers walking around.
It's just I run into people that are about Japanese culture more often than not, but like whatever it is, like, well, the such and such people from such and such never did such and such and they turned out fine. It's like, cool it on that.
Yeah.
Like she's clearly obsessed with trying to emulate Vulcan, culture.
Yeah, she is. And that's part of her character flaw. And I kind of like the fact that she's not like she is a know-it-all, but she ain't one of them perfect characters that don't have flaws. She got a lot of flaws.
Yeah, a lot of them.
So this is basically your main character that's in the series, and the thing is, like we said, she's a human that's raised by Vulcan, so she's trying to be more Vulcan, but you can tell she's kind of fighting back emotion and stuff. and where the story comes in at the ship come across some Klingons and they start a conflict, and everybody know Klingons don't play that shit.
Not even a little bit.
And this is actually, so I was thinking, I remember when I was saying, I was like, ain't the Klingons kind of, ain't they got like a treaty, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, ain't they getting along now? This is before, this is before they had their little treaty with the Klingons or whatever. How far along is Next Generation from?
Next Generation,
is it like about 30, 40 years?
30 or 40 years, yeah.
Yeah, because
Something
I
like
remember
that.
in the first episode, Bones was in there. Old Bones
Yeah.
was in the Next Generation show. So it was like, okay, it's not so far that they still ain't alive. They just old as hell.
But because the Vulcan that raised her is Spock's dad, right?
Well, I didn't know.
I
wasn't
think it
sure.
is. Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, and at this point, they kind of start. She inadvertently starts kind of like a war with the Klingons. Not a good idea.
No, that usually doesn't end very well.
And that's the thing, though. A lot of stuff that happened is because she was just being stubborn. She was being a know-it-all, you know. And one thing I also like, that it was consequences for everything she did. But the thing is, I'm thinking like, and it seemed like she was kind of show off, because they was like, she's like, yeah, we got to go check this thing out. It's like, yeah, and you know, you only have 20 minutes or you'll die. Well, I'll be back in 19. You know, it's like, stop, okay? Yeah. You ain't impressing nobody.
Yeah. And you know, and she kept trying to say, because for those who haven't seen the episode yet, she does have a history with the Klingon. Mm-hmm. And so,
yeah.
And so you can see bits where this is clearly informing her decision-making process, and folks steady call her on it. She's like, no, this has nothing to do with that. But clearly, it does.
Yeah. I mean, but if you see the incident, it didn't really, it happened too fast. She didn't really have control over what was going on.
But I mean, I can see why things progressed the way they did.
Right, but it got way too out of hand. That situation that they found themselves in could have all been prevented. And of course, you always got that one person that's telling you, let's turn around or let's not do this. That's always the audience.
Right here.
You be like, is that one person that be like, look, this is too much. We need to do this. We should go back.
And
you
then
know,
there's that
they never listen to that guy.
Then there's that one person that says, but what if we go poke the bear with a long stick? That way we have time to run away after he wakes up pissed. But couldn't we just not piss him off? No. I want to see what happens when we poke him.
Exactly. That's a good way to put it. So the guy we talking about was the alien.
I don't remember his name or his species.
But they closed up a lot on his face. The makeup's pretty good.
Yeah. And he had his little monologue, you know, my people are genetically determined for one thing, to sense the coming of death.
And I sense a lot in this.
Like, the second he said, I'm like, yep, that's all I need to hear.
But you know what? And then every time he tried to tell her something, she didn't listen. You know what I'm saying?
A lot of that, like, it seemed like she just didn't give a damn about anything he said.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Her cockiness was part of her downfall, you know?
Yeah.
Well, it's like, okay, I think they trying to make this character very unlikable. Because the thing is, like I said, she was cocky, she was brash, she did things that she put other people's life in danger and stuff. And like, okay, and then something she did that was I guess you can call it mutiny, and you know her explanation, I was trying to save you. Like, that ain't gonna keep on flying.
Like, not only that, like, mutiny takes on a very different connotation when you're on anything like a naval vessel. And as far as space being a sea of stars, this is a naval vessel. Mm-hmm. Mutiny gets folks killed.
Yeah. It's just that the thing she did, it's like, damn, are you actually in Starfleet command? I mean, you in Starfleet, but you don't have no respect for the chain of command at all.
No. Yeah. Because the way you're supposed to react in situations like that is, well, I'm going to keep trying to convince him. And if I can't, I had to do everything I can within the bounds of my position to save as many lives as possible.
But
not let me go commit mutiny and take over the ship.
Yeah, no. And then after you get called out on your shit, I was trying to save everybody. Man, go sit down.
Look, why don't you take some time to reflect on what you've done? But I can go.
Yeah, I mean, and when I think about it, first I was looking at like how this ended. I was like, man, that's fucked up. Then I think about it, you know what? That's probably fitting.
Yeah. Because right or wrong, it was wrong.
Yeah, I mean, because I started thinking about it, I'm like, you know what? Damn, she did. It was her decision to do this, and it was her decision to do that. It was her decision to do that. So damn, that's what happened with that.
The only thing I will say is I'm not entirely comfortable with the because this is the main character we're talking about.
All right, I got some thoughts on that, but go ahead and finish that.
Like just the situation she's in now is a hard one to reconcile with in a Star Trek show.
But what I'm feeling is I like this. One, it's showing a lot of flaws. And if you talking about development, that's your best development if you can see they can work through this. Now, if she turn around and do what she learned not to do, because she learned a hard lesson right now.
Yeah.
And if she turn around and do what she learned not to do, then it's like, okay, fuck this show. But you know what I'm saying? If you learn your lesson and you handle the situation different, when you get to another situation, you're going to be like, look, I was in this situation before and I did this and I fucked everything up. Now I'm gonna handle it this way. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Then I'm like, okay, she learned from that experience. You know, so I'm interested to see going forward how she gonna, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How she gonna handle herself.
I mean, definitely they've set her up for a decent character arc because she does have a lot to still work through, and she's been dealt a very harsh blow. And there's a great bit there where she had a flashback back to where she was at school on Vulcan.
Mm-hmm.
And she couldn't answer, and there was some questions she couldn't answer because she started having some flashbacks to the incident that basically all of her issues with Klingons are derived from. Mm-hmm. And she told her teacher, maybe if I take the test in Vulcan. Nah, you trying to do it like that ain't the problem. It's you.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that kind of came full circle in the first episodes, no less, like the beginning of the season,
mm-hmm.
is setting this up for a very steep character arc.
Yeah, that's all gonna be issues going forward too. All her Vulcan stuff and her problem with the Klingon. So they got things that's gonna be good. So the thing is, going forward, we are following the character Michael, which is because people gonna think I'm talking about a man, but I'm talking about the female character Michael.
Like, I was so sure her name was Micah, and what's her name's accent was so thick that it was just sound like Michael.
I was just wondering if anybody call her Mike. What's up, Mike? Big Mike. They just ain't gonna fly.
Mike, come try this skirt on.
But anyway,
God, that's a weird practice.
But so, like I said, it's things she did that caused the problems with the Klingons. But let's talk about the Klingons real quick. What do you think of the retcon Klingon look?
They're so distracting. like just they visual overload on the Klingons, man. Like all of them got different colors, like wildly different color skin, from pale white to glistening.
Yeah, but
black.
wasn't that one Outcast or something?
Yeah, but like you've got all kinds of like deep reds, ambers. One of them had gold skin. one of the main dudes in the first episode has deep black skin with a metallic sheen to it. Like,
yeah, they look like a damn fish or something.
you know,
It looked like a shark
somewhere between shark skin and automotive paint. Like,
with sharp teeth. Like,
very sharp
yeah,
teeth,
I think they went too hard on the Klingon look. They looked too gross.
And previously,
and they had them all up in the camera too.
And previously, like, we've seen every stage of the forehead ridges, like from minor wrinkles to actual ridges going back with it. But they just took it so far, like. And the costumes, these motherfuckers are when I tell you that they dress sharp, I don't mean that they look good. I mean like they have very pointy outfits.
Do they got armor? Do they have armor?
They do, but like after a certain point, is it even armor? Like it's ornamental as fuck. Like dude is walking around with like some golden spikes with rubies in them, and
yeah. I thought they looked a little too. I thought like, wow, y'all went. I guess y'all tried to get a wow factor, but it's like, damn,
it's too much, man.
Yeah. I think they went a little too hard on the aliens,
like, especially with this aggressive retcon treatment that they've given this. Mm-hmm. It's so hard to reconcile what I'm seeing with Star Trek, the original series, and
go ahead.
And so like. I'm hoping that they put something in there as a callback to at least address the retconning.
Yeah, I was hoping. You know what? They might as well do after this series. Do the original, reboot the original.
Might as well.
And when they reboot it, don't make it the same. So when it's a reboot, but you got new uniforms, everything that was dated for the time it was in, which was that the 60s? Yeah, the 60s. You can upgrade it.
Yeah.
You don't have to. Well, they didn't look like this. Well, they looked like that because that was in the 60s when they made it, and that was the best they could do.
Right.
And so you can get rid of that.
And so much of that is a sign of the times, too. You know,
that's what I'm saying.
Because when you consider that, like, that being the jump off of what humanoid aliens looking like, so they, like, the wildest thing they could think of was pointy ears and wrinkly foreheads, you know. Like, and as things, you know, and changing skin color, and as things go on, folks came up with different stuff that different kinds of aliens would have. Mm-hmm. So all of that needs to be retooled because it's not just a bunch of human-looking motherfuckers. You know, there's all kinds of shit, you know, that they can come up. Matter of fact, I'll tell you what, the best barometer for what a Star Trek reboot should look like, and it feels so weird to say this, is the Orville. not on the comedy tip, but just on like diversity of all the different kinds of aliens, you know, because not everything's gonna be humanoid. Not everything.
Well, the Klingons was pretty much human in the original Star Trek.
Yeah,
they look human. They had on a little makeup on, and they had like these funny hats, but they were just dudes.
They was just dudes. Yeah. Now maybe they didn't need to go as far as they did in Discovery, but you know, maybe something to indicate this isn't just some dudes in some makeup. You know, like the help build up the what do they call it? Damn, I lost it that quick. There's an actual term for it. They use it for why folks find mannequins and shit so creepy and why zombies are so scary. But basically what it is the closer something is to being human while still clearly not being human, the more disruptive it is to your senses and your worldview. You know? But if you're gonna go this route with it, just toss all that shit out and just actually take a solid look at what can we do and what should we do.
Yeah, I think they should go ahead and just update. I know they got the movies, so just reboot the show. I mean, this is 10 years before, so is this going to be a direct lead up to Star Trek? You know,
I mean,
we possibly could meet some of the characters
because they haven't mentioned their how they want to handle that yet. I think part of it is that they're hoping not like. I think they're hoping not to have to deal with that until they've been on the air for a good while.
Yeah, I know.
Just
but they can have people like Pike or like older people maybe a young Sulu, some shit like that. Even though that'd be a little too much fan service.
And as it is, they already have the advantage of not having to account for the movies.
Since, because it's before the movies.
Well, because the current Star Trek movies are in a different timeline.
Oh yeah.
So they're not. So like, as far as they're concerned, like they don't have to touch any of that. None of that shit happened. So they're strictly in the same timeline that birthed the original series, and so they're hoping to be able to use the distance between them and the original series to keep from having to touch it for now.
Right.
But I really hope that somewhere down the line they do take this as an opportunity to come back to that, and not only bring it back, but also bring it back for a different generation.
Yeah, I think they should do that. So let me ask you this: what you think of the special effects?
The special effects are pretty good. Some of them I wasn't feeling, and mostly that was just on places where I didn't think it was necessary. Like there was with any sci-fi show, there's going to be a lot of gratuitous special effects.
Yeah.
But all in all, no complaints.
Things like they showed them they did this one scene, which I think they did that scene before, where you go from one part to another part, you go through space.
Yeah.
They did that. Is that possible? Now the one when they did that, it was Data.
Yeah.
Which he's an android, so you can pull that off. It was kind of cool. They had him, and this was in one of the Next Generation movies, and they had him go from one ship and float to the next ship.
Yeah.
The
way they did it, I guess strictly speaking.
But they gave you an explanation, though.
They gave you an explanation.
And they said, hey, you got 15 seconds. You know what I'm saying? Okay. They was like, well, I could get there in, if I get there in 6 seconds. They like 6 seconds. I forget. It was like a time limit or whatever.
Like the amount of time it would have taken her to cross the room wouldn't have done it. And so they did the whole gravity shoot deal.
Yeah.
But basically slingshotted her across the distance.
Right.
And at least with that, it wasn't like she was doing all shit while she was doing it, Yeah.
They didn't like, oh, you got to grab this and pull this in and save this person. They just did a quick, and it was cool. It was kind of cool. I thought that was kind of cool.
It worked.
I don't know if some science people can debunk that and be like, oh, that's not possible. You can't do this. Whatever. I don't care.
It feels janky to me, but I can't disprove any science in it, so I'm just gonna enjoy the damn show.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So on that, I'm not even trying to go into that. Visually it was a good scene. So.
Yeah. That's special effects pretty good. Some of them look kind of like, okay, yeah, this kind of fake. Yeah. Like some things when she was out the ship, it looked like, okay, like it was a special. It looked like she wasn't really there, or like the suit. The suit was like fake or something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It just looked like they had her head. She had like a little helmet, but it looked like, okay, they CGI'd the background or something. It was something that didn't feel right.
I had a serious problem with some of the costume design. Like there was someone working on the bridge with a robo helmet on.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, and I didn't know how to take. It looks like a Daft Punk helmet. I'm not even gonna lie. And they had some kind of gloves on to go with it, and they were working on the console.
Oh wait, I think I know what you're talking about. They was kind of like sitting like at the he said robo helmet.
And I'm not like.
And that what Wesley used to do, kind of. Or was he one of the pilots?
No, he did a bit of everything. He was basically an intern on a spaceship. But stuff like that's that visually distracting, I don't like to see that without clear explanation. You can't get away with not explaining why LaForge wears his visor.
That's so you can see, right?
Right. But he can't just be looking someone dead in the face for 5 minutes talking and there'd be no explanation ever in Star Trek why he wears that visor. Eventually, I gotta know.
Right.
So and that character might be dead now. So
You talking about on the
on Discovery,
okay?
you know,
Which character you talking about?
the one with the robo helmet. I don't know if that character lived or died. You know,
He probably died.
yeah,
A lot of them motherfuckers died.
yeah. We know old boy with the makeup survived.
All right, so that's our discussion on Star Trek Discovery. We're gonna watch some more episodes, and we'll have some little mid-season review on that, just to see where the show's going, and let you know if it's worth keep watching.
For sure.
All right, moving on. We got another review. We got.